How we feelin', Teal Nation? It's officially football season, and we're here to break it down on the Chant Pod, presented by Revolution Mortgage. I'm Sam Wiederhaft. I was sitting there thinking about who I wanted to bring on for the first football week. Well, why not one of the biggest hires of the offseason? We're talking with the first ever general manager in CCU football history, Scott Aligo. Scott has a very extensive football background and has brought his knowledge over to Conway. He's been instrumental in this new age of college athletics with many different areas of this football team, and we dug into exactly what he's doing to make our Chants better on the field. To lead up to Game 1 against Virginia, let's hear my conversation with Scott Aligo. We're back in the Norman Fieldhouse for another football episode of the Chant Pod, presented by Revolution Mortgage, and really special episode because this week we're talking with the new and really first ever Coastal football general manager, Scott Aligo. Scott, appreciate you coming on, man.
Appreciate you having me.
This is, we basically just wrapped up fall camp and now getting into game preparation for the first game against Virginia. Just your first fall camp experience, how was that in Conway?
It's been awesome. The competition has been great. I think a lot of guys are having to prove themselves, and I think we have a lot of excited guys to really get the season started, and I couldn't have asked for a better first fall camp here.
You know, I was out of practice this morning, and I saw you out there, getting guys water and just doing a lot of different things. How have you been spending your time during the practices to just get to know the guys in this program?
Well, I think Coach Beck kind of puts a all hands on deck philosophy, and it kind of makes everybody really bought into everything that's going on. So whether it's making sure that our scout team guys have water, making sure that during our halftime period that we'll have Gatorade and stuff like that, I think it just gets everybody within the organization to buy in. Mm-hmm. And it also kind of allows me to kind of move around and see the guys, how they are in those game time situations, and allows them to see me out there as well.
Sure. You are, like I mentioned, Coastal's first ever football general manager. Just describe to me what you've been doing to try and set this program up for success.
Yeah, I think starting out, just really trying to get to know our team. I think that was probably one of my main focuses when I first got here, is be able to get to know our guys, know our team, kind of know our depth. And it was a cool, fun process because, again, it's everybody was new, so it really was exciting time to really just kind of get to know the guys and kind of get to know where our depth laid, and kind of like what some of our strengths and weaknesses were, and be able to really kind of go forward with kind of continuing to add to our team.
You know, I know that you've mentioned it before, that your philosophy with scouting is to get to know who you have from within, and then build from there. So, I mean, you talk about getting to know some of the players on this team. What are some of the things that you're doing to just get to know everybody? Because there's so many people involved in the organization.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think we have such a regimented schedule, and it's very detail oriented from Coach Beck. And I'm one person, so I can float and move into different scenarios, whether it's them at breakfast, whether it's at lunch, whether it's them working out in the weight room, whether they're doing the workouts on the field. Just be able to kind of maneuver and just see those guys in different lights, or it's whether it's, hey, when they have a little break, hey, you want to come and let's talk for a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. Just trying to be authentic, be myself, and I think letting them know who I am, why I'm here, and just being able to be in their space as much as possible, really to build a true authentic relationship with them.
You know, I read an article yesterday about Andrew Luck and what he's been doing at Stanford as their general manager and his new role. But the things that, because I grew up in Indianapolis, and the things that I remember about Andrew Luck is how much of a leader he was on the field. Now he's translating that to the off the field stuff. Just for this job, how much of a leader do you have to be, and to kind of lead these guys and just kind of get to know everybody in your program? Yeah,
I think the leadership part of it goes through Coach Beck, and then there's different scenarios of kind of leading more of our staff more than the players. Right. But the leadership part is just being able to kind of give them honest and transparent feedback on how they're moving. Be a leader in a way to show them kind of the experiences I've had. Different guys have been in their position, different scenarios, and just be able to be a sounding board and give them another a voice to kind of give them from experiences I've had to be able to help them be successful.
Coach Beck has been very authentic in talking about you and what you've been
Yeah.
doing, and the fact that he's happy that he just gets to be coaching
Yeah.
football again.
Yep.
So, kind of describe to me how you and Coach Beck have been, working together and aligning to kind of set this program up.
Well, I think it started from the first time I ever got on a Zoom call with him. I just felt, again, a genuine person who was like transparently asking for some assistance, some help. Hey, let's, and I didn't, and in this business with a lot of egos, not a lot of people kind of have that space and have the ability to do that. But I felt like he was genuinely trying to, hey, let's figure it out. And what it did was a more welcoming aspect for him, so we could have like a genuine conversation about, hey, this is the space that it's kind of going to. Here's some of my strengths that I could help with that, and I love being able to take stuff off his plate.
Yeah.
And again, I have a lot of competitive endurance to do that. So like being able to just be able to be a work taker and not a work maker, and be able to allow him to really just be the head football coach and kind of show us his message, be able to lead, and be able to just let him do his deal. And I think that's where he shines.
This role is it's very new across college sports, football teams, basketball teams starting to come up with a general manager. For you, what are some of the challenges when this is a job that really hasn't been done all that many times before, and there's not really a roadmap?
Yeah, it's. I still think there's still no roadmap. I think it changes. I kind of said it. It's went from changing monthly to weekly to daily to by the minute. I mean, we'll get new updates every other day about different rules and how things are, and you got to be able to adapt. I think I pride myself on being able to adapt and not just stay in your own ways, and try to have like a growth mindset. There's a personnel symposium every August in Nashville where everybody works in personnel recruiting kind of goes there for a day and a half during camp, during the quote dead period, and just kind of talk through, hey, what's the challenges that we're going through. So I think being able to people that are kind of in my space, just be able to be like, hey, what's going right, what's going wrong, can we help each other out? And I think the group that we have, the personnel group, GM world, is really starting to like, let's do this together instead of like trying to almost fight each other with that. And I think it's really gonna it's helped everybody out, and I think more people are transparent in that world now, and it allows us to kind of move in the way of where every day is a new day.
You've been in scouting, you've been in player personnel, you've coached on the field before. What is it that you like about this side of the game and what you're doing right now?
I think you're in the GM role. You get a lot of the coaching interaction 101, and I think being a coach is a special space of where you can really affect a kid 101 intimately and be able to do that, and you get to see them progress and grow. Here's the same way, is you're talking with each individual player here, kind of about their role, compensation, and be able to really see them grow, see them try to continue to get better and earn. And I think that's where the correlation is you're going to get to see guys grow right in front of your eyes, from when they first get here to the end, to be able to achieve their goals.
We've got all of your stops back here. This is awesome, by the way. You got mini helmets from every single place you've been, right now, Coastal Carolina. But like I talked about it, a scouting, player personnel background, but you've really worked in a lot of different areas of the game. How do you think your experiences from all these different stops has prepared you for this role right now in Conway?
Yeah, I think both the scouting and coaching has really it's benefited exponentially. Like, I did not play college football. I actually played 1 year college basketball before I transferred to Kansas. So not having that experience of playing, I felt that after my experience with the Chiefs for 5 seasons, I thought that being in this space, you need to be able to talk the lingo, you need to be able to have done it. So like the coach for 4 years, I was a GA, drew cards, did ran the scout team, had to do every sort of thing possible. And actually, I thought I was going to be a coach. I took the defensive end job at Northern Colorado, and it was probably, I was so excited. I was like, hey, I get my own room. And then the Browns called. But I think both of those experiences allowed, like, the stuff I had for four years as a coach, I use every single day, especially interacting with the coaches and players and having them know that I was a D-line coach. Like, they look at me like, you're a D-line coach? Yeah, I was. And so talking technique, just talking hand placement, footwork, and all that stuff, of showing them you have a little bit more depth than just being a guy that's kind of running the roster.
You mentioned Kansas, and Kansas has been a big part of your life. That's
Yep.
where you went to school. That was your last stop. You were
Mhm.
the director of scouting there, and just had a really interesting few years there because Lance Leipold was able to build that program up
Yep.
once again from not being as great. And what did you take away from that experience from your 4 years
Yeah.
there lately, from just being a bottom tier program to
Yeah.
what you guys built that up to?
Yeah, I'm forever indebted to Coach Leipold. I think getting an opportunity to go back to your alma mater is probably a bucket list for a lot of people in your profession. But getting to see him take as much pride about KU as alums did, and really just say, hey, we're going to do it the right way. We're not going to take any shortcuts. We're going to be aligned, and I'm going to pour myself into that, was incredible. And I think the reason why it continued to grow, and it is going to continue to grow, is the alignment there, of him worrying about the right things, and really having everybody on the same page. And that's why it continued to, there are a lot of philosophies I talked to our players about, of how we did things with the roster that we're going to use here. Because I think retention is probably in the one of the top pillars that is part of my job duty. I think we did a really good job at Kansas retaining our team, and making those guys that are on the team feel valuable. And as the time goes on, we're going to continue to value the guys that are here. And obviously, we're going to supplement it with different ways, whether it's high school kids or the transfer portals. But the kids that are here, that are really bought into what we're doing, like, we're going to make them, it's going to be tough for them to leave.
Yeah. Your first year back with Kansas was the year 2021
Yep.
that they came here.
Yep.
And, Coastal had a big win in that game. But, the thing that made those Coastal teams so good in 2021, 22, a lot of retention.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys coming back and being in the program. And you just mentioned it. What is your philosophy toward retention in this, what we know is a very changing world of college athletics? And, a group of 5 team doesn't really see a lot of retention all the time. So what's sort of your philosophy to that?
So I think being proactive more than reactive is something that is ongoing daily. So I think having honest and transparent conversations with players earlier in the process, kind of educating them on, hey, what's going to happen, who's going to be talking to you, who's going to be coming after you, who's going to be giving you their opinion on what's going on, and try to just educate them on how that process is going to be. And to really just to be like, hey, let's have we've got to have a fluid, open door conversation, and not have it be, we need to talk consistently, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, been in scenarios where you either wait till it's too late for them to get a chance to come back. And we don't want that. So the guys that are, so it's constant, it's fluid, it's every single day. I think it's more just, again, it's the new age is now you're recruiting your team every day.
Right.
And it's going to, and if you don't, what I've learned is, like, there's a lot of people talking to these kids, and if you're not talking to them today, there's 4 other people that are going to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to try to block out as much noise as possible is, again, a challenge for our staff, but it's a fun challenge, because then you can really kind of dig yourself, get your claws into your team, and really foster those relationships, and ultimately retain the guys that we want to retain.
Yeah, and communication is that biggest pillar for you guys, and sort of building that culture. You mentioned earlier, but just talking about how it got to a point where things were changing monthly and then weekly and daily. And now it's hourly. Things are changing. How much adjusting have you had to do in your profession just in the last handful of years to,
Yeah.
how many changes we've seen in college athletics?
Yeah, I mean, if you start from at Michigan State with Kenneth Walker, that conversation is exponentially different than even having a conversation with guys that we're trying to get to come here now. I
Right.
mean, I do think it's ultimately guys want an opportunity to play. So I think that's still, there's a lot of foundation pieces of college football that are still in place. They still want to win. They still want to play. They still want to go to school. That matters. Obviously, the financial piece is into it. So I think that's probably obviously the biggest change that's evolved. But I do think it's still a people business, and I think the more they're still 19 to 22-year-old kids, so you can still have the more honest and transparent you can be with these kids. That to me you get more mileage out of that, and I tried that if I was in this seat to be overly transparent, whether it's recruits, whether it's parents, whether it's our current team. And sometimes those conversations aren't easy to have initially. But if you can have those conversations early, which has been through my career, then you can at least come to an understanding at the end.
Yeah. Talking with Coastal first ever football general manager Scott Aligo on the Chant Pod presented by Revolution Mortgage. The revenue sharing is the biggest change for college athletics coming into this year. What do you think? What kind of opportunity do you think that presents for Coastal football?
I think we're in a really good space. I think we have an administration who isn't afraid to be about it, isn't afraid to really kind of try to be unique in the ways we can kind of generate revenue. And you're going to see a lot of changes. And as everybody knows, there's been a lot of changes since the day Chance has been here.
Yeah.
So that's been great. But I think the only way Chance has been great of embracing it instead of running away from it. And I think Coastal's position's in a good spot to continue to elevate it. And that's, again, another task that I've been is continue to elevate, raise the floor of what we're doing, and be competitive in our space.
And with all your experience and your background, was there ever a point, because for me the last few years and being not only somebody who works in college athletics, but as a fan, never really knows what's coming next. You know? And there's been so many different changes and so many things ever since NIL became a big thing a few years ago. Was there ever a point where you kind of thought to yourself, okay, this is where I see this going, and you kind of knew what to expect?
I would say probably after my experience with the Browns, and kind of going around to seeing different directors of player personnel, because that was kind of the evolution from director of player personnel to GM, and just seeing guys being able to run departments and just being able to, like after the Browns experience, I mean, I called around different colleagues and said, hey, if you could be a GM of a team, that was in 2016, hey, how would that look? And I think there was like a sort of starting a shift to that. Once just hearing conversations about that, I knew it was eventually going to get to this. And different people had said it was going to get to that. I think it's happened faster than probably as expected. But obviously with money comes quick change. And I think just being able to be in that space of having to deal with everything that money comes with, there's just a lot more, I wouldn't say hurdles, but just different challenges you'll have. But yeah, I think it's happened a little faster than expected. But after I think my experience on the road as a scout, you could see it. It was eventually coming.
I listen to a lot of just college radio and just hearing from a lot of different people. And for the last few years, it's been talking about the transfer portal and NIL. It's been, we got to figure something out here. Something needs to change, but there's really no solutions that have been offered. I mean, just how important is it to embrace, what we're doing right now and just kind of run with it?
You have to embrace it, not even blink. If you blink, then you're going to get behind. So I think the people who are embracing it do well with it. And again, the more you kind of push against it, the more challenges you have. But yeah, I think there's no question, you gotta embrace it.
Yeah. I mean, the NIL and the transfer portal, how has that just impacted your recruiting strategy and some of your philosophies?
It's almost allowed it to be more clear for me
Okay.
because you can really just it's more. There's less. I guess less gray area. It's kind of black and white. Like if kids are like, it's more, you find out what's really important for a kid now more than ever because is it money? Is it uniforms? Is it logo? Is it, and you can really, because of that, you don't have to dance around this anymore. You can just be direct. Hey, what's your top 3 things that's important to you? And like, you can really separate guys and kind of either move on or okay, we really need to go after this kid because they want to be a part of what we're doing. I think it's cleared it up for me, and being able to, like, the questions, there's just not as much. The pool seems to be, you can be more defined with it, and you can be more targeted with it.
And when you're talking with Coach Beck and the rest of this coaching staff, and you see a player that you think is a good fit for the program,
Yeah.
beyond just talent, what are some of those factors that you're looking at when you see someone that you think would be a good fit in Conway?
Yeah, we call them OKGs, our kind of guys.
Yeah, love that term.
Yeah, so I think it's just one. It starts with a character, football character and personal character, and guys that are kind of bought into, hey, this is what's going to happen when you come here. Here's the standard that's going to be. Here's how we deal with things. Once we kind of get through those critical factors of being able to see with that, we want to get them around our guys as much as possible. I think having the players recruit the kids and find out how the kid truly is and would he fit. We rely on our players a lot. Like we meet with those guys before all of our visits and say, hey, like, I can like a kid as much as like I can love this kid, I can love everything, but if he doesn't fit the vibe and the culture, like, then hey, he might not be a fit here.
Sure.
And I think giving the players really kind of responsibility and giving them the ability to say, hey, coach, I don't know if he's going to be a good fit here, and listening to them, and, which is another evolution, right? I think it's been more guys want to, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. I'm taking the philosophy, we're going on a journey together with these players instead of telling them what to do.
Sure.
And I think once they kind of have, they have more ownership in this, especially who the guys come in here, the ownership of how the culture is and what the standards are, then you get guys to buy in more to what you're doing.
Yeah. Let's talk game day here because it's coming up pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia, August 30th on the road is when Coastal's season starts. So next week we're getting into game preparation. What's going to be your role on game day? I mean, like I said, we saw you out with the water practice earlier, but is it going to be that all hands on deck kind of thing?
Absolutely. Like I don't think I'll have a specific game day role. I will be on the sideline, but I think it's more, I guess, kind of my role. I think everything's ready to go, right?
Sure.
I mean, and I think more just being able to watch and kind of see how guys react in different situations, and then be an eye for Coach Beck if he has any, hey, what's your observations or anything like that. But it's more big picture.
Yeah.
But I think really I don't have a specific game day role, and I kind of get to enjoy the game, but it's also being able just to be a part and be as a support, right? Being able to assist those guys in any way possible.
This almost feels like a new era for Coastal football because a lot of new staff coming into this year with Drew Hollingshead heading the offense, Jeremiah Johnson heading the defense, them bringing in some new staff members. What have you noticed on both sides of the ball from, just the new culture that has come in here?
Yeah, I think what I've noticed is there's a ton of buy-in, right? And I think there's been an all hands on deck, again, philosophy on this. So whether we've done meals with different coaches one-on-one, we've done different sort of team building things, really to get guys to buy in. And I think really kind of pushing Coach Beck's culture and his message. It's been good. I feel like there's a great working relationship with both sides of the ball. There's excitement, there's energy, and I really think they have embraced really, hey, we got to really pour into the players at different times of the day, and hey, maybe we might sacrifice a little bit of some of the game planning, but like we need to really invest in the players, and they haven't blinked an eye, which has been great. And I think there's a lot of momentum.
Yeah, Scott, I'll close it out with this one. Besides the beautiful new turf that we're going to have at Brooks Stadium, which you have a great view of from your office, what excites you about 2025 and what this season could be for Coastal football?
Yeah, I'm excited to see these guys compete. I think there's a lot of guys on our team that have expressed that they have a lot to prove. They have chip on their shoulder. They have things that they want to achieve. And getting to talk to these guys individually, a lot of guys have a lot of goals, and I'm excited to see them achieve those. And I think just being a part of that process of getting to hear them express their goals, express how they want to continue to get better, and now they're going to have an opportunity to do that. Like, that's going to be fulfilling. It's going to be cool to kind of go start from the beginning, and then get to see the guys who have been here, right?
Yeah.
The guys who've poured their blood, sweat, and tears in this place, and to be able to not. Again, I feel like we have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to keep that standard for those guys. So being able to, hey, the guys that we brought in, be able to assist those guys that have been here for multiple years and played a lot of snaps, and be able to have them leave this year, their seniors, with a good taste in their mouth.
Yeah. Well, Scott, we appreciate the time.
Yeah.
This is something that I really didn't know a lot about.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm filled with a lot more knowledge.
Yeah.
So really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a fun season.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Very informative conversation with a guy that knows a lot about everything. Thanks again to Scott for coming on. And now we open the book on this 2025 season this weekend. Game 1 against Virginia is on Saturday at 6 p.m. in Charlottesville. You can catch it on the ACC Network and the Chanticleer Sports Network. If you watched the Ball at the Beach series during the fall camp, you know how hard this team has worked with over 60 new players to get to this point, and now we get to see them in action for a fresh start to a new season. Around Chanticleer Athletics, our men's soccer team is off to a strong 1-0 start after taking down Winthrop in Game 1. They're at home on Sunday against Wofford at 6 p.m. from the CCU Soccer Complex. Women's soccer hits the road to take on Louisville. That'll be Sunday as well at 7:30. Our volleyball team also begins their season this weekend at the HTC Center with matches against Maryland on Friday at 6 and North Carolina Sunday at 1. And finally, cross country begins their schedule with the Elon opener in North Carolina on Friday. That'll be their first run of the season. Chanticleer Athletics are officially on for the fall season. Thanks again to GM Scott Aligo for coming on this week to get us ready for Game 1. We're all super excited to see this new team on the field this weekend. Enjoy all the fun this weekend, Teal Nation. I'm Sam Wiederhaft signing off. Chant's up.